Yo, what is up, guys? Um, it's Lalande here with my Shin-Ichi Sakamoto collection. I'm a big fan. I have been for quite a few years now. When I first read Innocent on an illegal manga website, and I fell in love instantly. As you can see, I'm a Lolita. I wear EGL fashion, and it's a big passion of mine. And I think what really drew me to Innocence is the fashion, the Rococo style, as well as all the swords and the fighting and the horror and the gore. It's really awesome, and I also really am a big fan of DLCL. I love Dracula, I love vampires, so it's really cool. And so I have a little bit of merch and some manga volumes that I'm going to show off, as well as some merch I've made myself for my favorite character. And yeah, that's what I'm gonna do today. I really hope to expand my collection at some point. So far, I only really have stuff for Charles because he's my main favorite character, but I really do want to get some Mary Joseph Sanson stuff because she's just an icon. I really love her. There's so much I could say about Innocent. I think one of these days I want to do a big analysis video on the themes I've picked up on while reading it and why it means so much to me, because I think it's a really interesting piece of media, and as much as I have a lot of good things to say, I also definitely have some critiques that I think would be fun to explore as well. But anyway, to begin, I'll show you the volumes I have. Now, I got these off by Macari, and I'm pretty sure they're all rental editions from like a library, so they have like this plastic coating on them, but it's alright, you know. Whoever sold them to me, I don't think they should have. Anyway, I want to show off the covers and everything because they're just so beautiful. Like the art style and everything. Yeah, I'll show off some of the pages. The way that he draws blood, the way he draws expressions, the way he draws hair as well. It's so gorgeous. There's so much attention to detail. There's so much elegance in his art style, which I really am fond of, I really adore. It's the second volume. When I first found out about Innocent, I asked my parents to buy me a copy for my birthday, but the English translation hadn't come out yet. So my parents bought it for me, and when I opened it really excitedly, it was all in Spanish, and so I couldn't read it. It was really frustrating. But then I found it on a certain website, and I managed to read it all in about like a couple days because I was just so in love with it right away. You can see this is Mary Joseph Sanson. She's she's such an interesting female character. I know a lot of people have like some criticisms of her, and some people paint her out to be a Mary Sue type character, but I think I personally really disagree with that. I think she's very strong, and so I think people's gut reactions to that is to instantly go, oh, that's unrealistic for a woman, like that's just not. All the time we see these very strong, overpowered male characters, you know, like Goku or something like that, and they do these incredible, amazing feats and stuff, and they have all this aura, mysterious power, and I feel like Mary has a similar experience, but she just isn't considered in the same way as strong male characters are, because she's a woman. People just don't treat characters like that the same. I think one of my favorite things about Innocent is the gender. It's the way characters do seem deeply affected by that gender. And we see Mary, she is such a free spirit, she doesn't get to conform. Mary is true freedom. Mary is true, like, individual, like, independence. Mary does what she wants, when she wants. Whereas Charles, we see in the start of the manga, this is Innocent Rouge, by the way, he is very optimistic, he has all these open ideas, and he sees himself as someone who can change the world, like many young men do. But as he grows older, he becomes his father in a lot of ways. He begins to try and restrict Mary, he begins to accept his fate as an executioner. As much as he wants to change it, he doesn't. And I feel like that's interesting because he, as a man, gets the privilege of choosing to fit into society. He isn't going to be challenged as a man. He can take on this profession and not be oppressed by his gender. And while his line of work is still, looked down on, it's different for Mary. She can't fit into the society and be herself the way that Charles can as a man, because she is truly restricted both by her profession and her gender. And so that's why I think we see Charles go down this pipeline of becoming less of a dreamer and more of, I don't know, an executioner, a man, basically. We see him go through that transformation, whereas Mary, she stays true to herself. She has to. She can't fit in her society. It won't allow her. This is the final Innocent Rouge cover, and it's such a gorgeous shade of red. I hope the camera can pick it up properly, but it's just beautiful. I think a lot of people will agree with me when they say that Innocent Rouge goes a bit downhill, but I think if you're a big fan of the art and you care a lot about the aesthetic, it's still worth reading. I find it more interesting to read as lots of short mini-stories rather than one continuous narrative plot, because the storytelling begins to get quite confusing. And so if you read it in snippets, I find it easier to digest. It does all link in the end, but it gets to a point where it's very convoluted, obviously because it's trying to record or is inspired by real-world events, which is convoluted. But I still think it's worth a read if you're a fan. The next series I have is DRCL, which I, again, also bought off by Macari, and they have the plastic covers on them, and but they're really gorgeous too. And DRCL is great too. Just like Innocent, there are a lot of queer themes. In fact, I'd say more overtly queer for DRCL. But I mean, that goes without saying for vampires, because they're inherently queer themselves, right? And well, we see queer characters here and there in Innocent. For example, when Charles is young, he has a very fleeting, like, not even really a relationship, but an interest in another man his age. And we also see Marie and Marie Antoinette, as well as a trans character, I think, at one point, have some kind of relationships. But it's more speckled throughout the story rather than what feels like core themes of the story. With DRCL, what is so interesting to me is we have a character that it completely bends gender and is both, at times in the story, male and female, and is treated fully, entirely as either gender when presenting as that gender. So the character is Luke/Lucy Westerner, who is a vampire, and in their vampire state, they are a woman. And they are friends with a girl called Mina. Mina loves Lucy, but only as Lucy, because when the vampire is in the human state in the daytime, they are Luke, and they hang around a group of very rich, very pompous boys, because they attend an all-boys school. Or, well, for the time, all schools were mostly just for boys anyway. And all these boys look down on Mina and treat her very misogynistically. However, all these boys also have a romantic, queer interest in Luke, but only when he is Luke and not Lucy. And so pretty much every character is queer in this very, very interesting way, where the object of their desire, their obsession, is kind of battling between two different versions of themselves. And it brings them together. Their queerness brings them together, because you see, Mina wants to save Lucy, and the boys want to save Luke, so they come together, and they have this really interesting story. There are lots more heavy themes in DRCL, but that goes without saying for Sakamoto's works. And there are lots of heavy themes in Innocent too. There's lots of beautiful art. There's some beautiful double pages, but one criticism I have with the printing of the manga is double pages are not presented in the best way, as they do that awful thing where they don't crop properly, so it, like, how do I explain? It goes into the middle of the page, you can't see the spread properly. It's a bit of a pain, basically. So those are my volumes. And now I'll show you the official merch I have for Innocent. Now there was quite a, like, more than I was expecting, because it's not that popular, especially, you know, over in the UK or anything. But I did manage to find some postcards, acrylic stands, and keychains too, which is really, like, I'm very happy with that. Like I said, all of the merch I got was for Charles, because it was quite expensive. I couldn't afford to get the other stuff, but from what I saw, there were Marie Joseph Sanson stuff, like the equivalent to all the stuff I got for Charles. There was Marie Antoinette, and then I also saw Mina and Lucy acrylic stands, which is really cool. So I'll start by showing you these postcards I got. They're really, really gorgeous. They have a really nice gold trim. You can see Charles, you can see Mary. And it's really cute on the back. It's an actual postcard. I have tack on it because it's been on my wall for a while now. And then this one, a very early panel, I think from volume 1, where he's like, I think he went out riding his horse or something. He gets all upset because he has to be an executioner. It's really beautiful. And then I'm so happy that they chose this panel, because it's honestly my favorite, I think. And this is Charles lying with the red executioner coat placed on his back by his grandmother. It's such a gorgeous panel. The coat and the cross, everything about it, it's gorgeous to me. Now, the next things I have are these acrylic keychains. They're really, really cool. They've got like 2 parts to them, and you can see his face now. It's really cute. And then I have another one, which is him with, like, you can't really see it on the camera, but he's got angel wings spreading out this way. And then, yeah, it's just a white void underneath. But it's really cute. And then for my stance, I have this gorgeous one. He's holding a white rose, yeah. And he's wearing a stupid outfit. And then this one always makes me laugh just because of how red his shoes are. But this is from the arc where he's invited to the, like, really fancy dinner at Versailles with all the nobles by Louis Auguste, and he gets turned away and put on. Well, actually, he doesn't even get turned away. He gets put on trial. And yeah, this is him. And then the last thing I have to show is my Ita bag. I made my own Ita bag. I ordered the bag off Amazon because I thought it really fit the Innocent style. It's got like crowns and swirls on it. And then I ordered some badges and I decorated it, so I'll show you. This is it. I think it's really gorgeous. As you can tell, Charles is definitely my favorite character. I can't particularly tell you why. I think there's just something I really like about tragic characters, that the result of their tragedy, it's their own fault, you know? Something about being self-destructive, I guess. Also, his long black hair. I really dig that, I'll be honest. Watching Charles's downfall, especially in juxtaposition to Mary's, kind of rise into her own self-identity, her own freedom. It's really interesting. I love his expressions, I love the way he's been drawn, I love his outfits. I just find his story very compelling, as well as, I think what particularly gets me is I find myself disappointed in him many times in the story, and yet I still find it so compelling. And I've just never really read a story that manages to do that for me. I think often it's frustrating to see your, characters kind of give up or make the same mistakes over and over again. But in Innocent, it just feels all too human, and I like that. I think I really do. So yeah, that was it. I hope you enjoyed this random ramble about some stuff I'm into. Also, apologize for any mispronunciations, because I'm not French or Japanese, as you could tell, so yeah. Also, if you want to know what dress I'm wearing, it's Baby the Stars Shine Bright, Sleeping Beauty Aurora in like a cream off-white colorway, and then a matching headpiece. Oh, and wrist cuffs just from Fortuna Lolita. I can't remember what they're called exactly, but that's it. Thank you so much for watching.